Check out shares of Microsoft hitting a fresh all-time high today after a bullish note from Evercore, which says a Teams video platform may be on its way and could steal a market share from red-hot stocks like Zoom. Joining us now on the Fast Line is the analyst behind the call, Kirk Materne. Kirk, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Just so we can understand your optimism surrounding Teams, what percentage of revenue is Teams currently from Microsoft, and what do you think it could be?
Well, Teams is monetized through the Office suite. So Teams is part of a broader bundle that you'd buy from Microsoft. But what I think is very interesting about Teams, and part of the reason we're bullish on it, is that Teams, with the collaboration technologies that it's bringing to bear, when you partner that up with Office, there's an opportunity for Microsoft to upsell its enterprise customers onto a higher SKU of the Office bundles. And the uplift on that can be anywhere from 50 to 75%. So when you think about more and more enterprises having to think about work from home paradigm and how your employees are going to collaborate with one another, the idea of bringing in these new technologies that Teams brings with it into the productivity tools that you already bought from Microsoft, is really compelling. And I think this is going to become, really Microsoft's front office cloud. It's going to become the key to Microsoft's front office cloud offering. So, we're upbeat about it. It's very early days, but we think Microsoft's got a very strong position in this part of the market.
In terms of the functions and the things that Microsoft can upsell, what are they, and what are your assumptions in terms of how much more can upsell and how much more corporations will need to spend? Because you did also raise your price target on Microsoft, so I'm assuming that there's some math behind how much this will contribute, even though it's bundled as part of Office.
Yeah, sure. So when you think about what Teams brings, obviously, when you start bringing in video and telephony and security and then analytics, if you move from the E3 to the E5 bundle, for instance, that would be, as I said earlier, about a 50 to 75% uplift. If you just simply have a portion of your customer base upgrading every year over the next 3 to 5 years, that is really what, in our view, is going to help drive the broader Office product suite, at a 10+% growth rate over the next couple of years. So while there's a lot of moving parts to this, I think the key here is that when you think about the Office suite, which is a $30+ billion business, and how that's going to continue to grow, really Teams brings these new functionality around collaboration, whether it's chat, video, but also the supporting technologies behind that, whether it's security, analytics, and telephony.
Kirk, it's Karen. Let me just first congratulate you. You've been a bull on this for a long time. I think I read a piece today from February where you had a 212 price target, which seemed pretty aggressive, but no longer. So when you get to this new price target, how do you get there? Are you looking at 2021 numbers, and what kind of multiple do you put on that?
Yeah, sure. So like everything in the market, multiples are becoming a little bit more relative given the broader market multiples coursing higher as well as rates are so low. But we're using a 37 times PE multiple. And if we had thought about that 2 or 3 years ago, that would have seemed, unrealistic would be a nice way of putting it. I think what's going on right now is that our confidence level and the durability of Microsoft's growth, both in terms of the top line and bottom line, coupled with the fact that Microsoft has $70+ billion in cash on its balance sheet, plus the fact that 60-75% of its business is recurring in nature. So again, visibility, makes us believe that the premium that Microsoft's garnering versus the broader market is sustainable. And that doesn't mean that Microsoft, like a lot of large tech companies, isn't due for a bit of a breather. It might be at some point over the fall, but this business is built for the long term. And when you're thinking about large cap, or in this case, mega cap, technology compounding stories and cash flow compounding stories, it's very difficult to see how Microsoft's not very well positioned over the next few years.
Kirk, great to speak with you. Thank you. Kirk Materne of Evercore ISI with that note. By the way, that price target goes to 250 from 225. Guy, what do you think about Microsoft?
Well, what he said about the multiple, that's the key right there. Karen asked the question I was going to ask, and that's spot on. I think across the board, Microsoft is one name that we really haven't wavered on in terms of bullishness on the show for quite some time. So I'm with him. I do think at a certain point valuation matters. But Microsoft is one of the few companies out there that's in all the right places. Margins continue to be strong. And you can make an argument that Microsoft should be the most valuable company out there right now. So I'm with Kirk on this upgrade and this price target raise as well.
Dan?
Well, I think it's interesting when you look at revenue growth over the last 5 years and what it's expected over the next few years, the same thing for EPS growth, you see a major downturn or a downshift or a deceleration at a time where you see analysts tripping over each other to raise their price targets and justify high 30s PE multiples. So to me, that doesn't seem kind of in line with the idea that, you know, this company should continue to trade at a premium multiple when you're seeing this sort of deceleration. So to me, if he's right on what teams can do to that office suite, fantastic. We didn't even talk about TikTok. I think that would be absolutely amazing if they were able to get that, even if they screw it up like they've done a bunch of their acquisitions over the last 10 years. I suspect it's an asset that's going to be worth a lot more in a few years than it's worth on a forced sale. So to me, yeah, I don't see any reason to sell Microsoft. We don't sell things on valuation in a raging bull market mania because it just makes you look silly the next day.